Welcome to our podcast. I'm Stacey Donadio.
And I'm Shannon Fasone from Turnkey Women,
where we're opening doors for women in business.
Cheers! Hey everybody, we are back with our Turnkey Women's Alliance podcast number 4. I'm here, your host, Shannon Fasone from Smart Title Insurance Company. As you can see, we're down a seat. My co-founder, co-host, co-pilot, co-boss lady, Stacey Donadio, got called in to mom duty. So we're going to start with our guest. This is Francesca Svoboda, and she's from Funding with Francesca, Cross Country Mortgage, and she's a loan officer. So welcome, Francesca. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, and you get my last name like so spot on every time.
Gosh.
That's the best compliment ever. People always mess it up.
I tried it, and I kept reading it, and I was like, I think I can. It actually flows.
Yeah, I'm very impressed.
Wow, thank you. Well, that was a good start to today.
Yeah, right? Good start to the podcast.
Good start. So Francesca came to our first open house in August, back at the Red Bank Design Center, and she has committed to attending. She is reaching out to grow her business, and has consistently come to every event and shown up and been such a huge part of what we've been doing. And she's now a member very recently in the last month or so, 2 months. But you've been there since the beginning.
Yeah, because I remember I didn't even know that there was memberships at first.
Oh, right.
Like, why do you guys have cool name tags? And you're like, oh, it's a membership. I'm like, well, what am I going to do for the name tag?
She wanted in.
I wanted the name tag.
She delivered, and now she has come to the table as one of our sponsors. She's going to be sponsoring our next event, which is going to be at the Red Bank Design Center in April. And we have, Francesca actually came to me and said, look, I think I have a really cool idea as an addition to our event. And it just spoke to everything our tribe is about. And it is about supporting women in real estate. And now we are completely supporting women in business. And why don't you tell me about why you wanted to sponsor an event for Turnkey and why you thought it was important to bring on a small female business entrepreneur as part of our event, and who she is and what she does.
So I met Stacey and Shannon because they slid my DMs and asked me to come.
This is becoming a thing.
Oh, is that what everyone said?
No, I did it to Julie. And she was like, yeah, like we really think social's such a huge part of what we do.
Yeah,
so.
And I answered right away. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll be there. And again, like I haven't missed anything since. So I'm excited to sponsor just because like I love the group. Obviously, I go every time. I value the women that are there, and for me to, be a part of it, even a bigger part of it than I already am, is exciting. And I actually met the girls from Linked Local at another networking event because networking is so big, obviously, in our industry. Huge. And they have like pop-ups, and now they're opening a storefront. But when I was thinking like what would be like a fun thing for people to do when, I don't know, because we usually have something like we had Juicy Tits come in. We always have like
we
a
had
sponsor.
the psychics at our
first one.
We've had a vendor event with all local vendors at our December one.
Yeah, so I feel like it's just like it's like an adding value for like the community as well as like the members. So when I met them, I was like, first of all, light bulb went off that I wanted them to come. And then I went and got one. So I already have one.
She's
I went
gonna
right
stack
away.
them. She's going for the stacks.
I messaged her. I'm like, oh, I want this. I can't wait.
Oh, you did some pre-shopping.
because she posted something. I'm like, I want this.
That's amazing.
But
they're very excited to come. They're opening up, like you said, a place in the Ocean County Mall, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So we also wanted to bring some more value to that event, and we are having Jules from Always Lovely Photos. You can follow her if you go on her Instagram. It's always LVLY, and she is going to be offering the service of headshots if you want to get them done. They're very quick, but have a new one done and have a refresh done if you need one. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I'm excited for that too. Just because I feel like getting your headshots done is like the biggest pain in the butt ever.
I'm awful at it.
Scheduling it, getting ready, then you don't know what like the conditions are going to be.
Right.
Like, I've taken all of mine outside.
Yeah.
So like sometimes you're just like freezing and you're like, can you edit out my nose being red because I'm cold?
Yeah.
But I feel like the event's going to be really fun. And
It is going to be fun. So Francesca offered to sponsor us and then open it up to new agents, obviously without the headshot, but new agents could attend for free because you really wanted to open and build our community. So
yeah, absolutely. I feel like I have gotten so much. And obviously the whole point isn't to get something out of it. Now, every time. Like, you're going to go to things and not get something out of it. But I feel like I've gained so much. Like, I've gained relationships.
Yeah.
It's fun. Like, I enjoy going to
good.
these events. Like, I remember the first one I went to, and I work with all guys. They're, like, so jealous that they can't come because they're like, why isn't all networking like that? I'm like, that's what I'm thinking, but I'm, like, sticking with it. But what was I going to say? Oh, to have new agents come on, like, I feel like it's just a good community because I feel like when I first started, I mean, I told you this, my old boss is like, oh, yeah, pick up the phone and start calling people. And I'm like, all right, yeah. And I, like, walked away. I'm like, wait, who do I call?
That was my favorite thing ever. It was so, but here's what, and that's what struck me when you were telling this story. What I took away from that is whoever has the guts to actually say, like, genuinely, like, I'm doing it, but, like, what am I doing? Like, exactly. And I loved that about you because it's such a common sense, smart question to ask. Like, am I just calling random people? Like, do you have a list for me? Is it concentrated? Are they my people? Like,
yeah, and for me, just starting off, like, I didn't know my left from right in the industry. I was fresh off the test. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that stuff is so heavy where it's like you almost forget my whole job is marketing myself and connecting with people and building these relationships in order to grow through the business. And I think that's what's very important for these new agents because some people don't know that, but when you come into the business not knowing what you're supposed to be doing and you don't have these people to lean on and help you grow and, I don't know, just be there. Like, I remember when I first started, I had no one to text my stupid questions to. That's why I was asking my stupid questions.
They're not stupid.
No
Her questions are what any person who is just got that smartness. Like, you just knew, like, I'll do it, but, like, let's make it make sense.
Let me make sure I'm on the right page.
Right. And, like, that's not, because I feel like if you put a bunch of new LOs in the room with you, they'd all be like, man, I'm glad she asked that because I didn't know either. So to be so open with your growth, your beginnings and where you've come to. So you should really check out Francesca on Instagram because we really love her. She does a lot of videos, and a lot of it is good content, and a lot of it is just Francesca being her. And it really drew me to you and Stacy as well because your branding is just really on point, not just for a branding perspective, but perfectly fitted to you. So talk to us about, like, how you came about with that and, like, what it was your vision as far as you as a person and you as a woman in business that would bring you to what that looks like.
So originally when I started, I feel like my brand was the company I was working for. I didn't really have a direction. I didn't have an idea. And I felt like now in hindsight, I felt like I almost just kind of fell into the groove of it.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to, like, make my own thing or be my own thing. And when I first started, it wasn't funding with Francesca. It was just like Francesca something mortgage, like whatever it was, because I didn't have that vision yet. Because again, when you're so new, you don't really know how much brand building goes into being in a position like ours in real estate.
Right.
So eventually it kind of started turning into funding with Francesca, and that's when I started posting reels. And they were so embarrassing and
they're
so
not
cringy. But I'm saying the first ones that I did, I remember, like, feeling so much, like, terror. Like,
anxiety,
what are people going to think?
Right.
And then all of that kind of started melting away the more that I posted because
consistency.
People, not only were people asking me, like, oh, how'd you, like, get into doing this? Like, could you help me? I don't know how to do it. Some people started messaging me, asking me mortgage questions, which my followers, who at that time, it was like maybe less than 300, 400 people, I had people actually reaching out to me, setting themselves up kind of to eventually be a client.
Wow.
Which
is the point of what if you're getting it like that, but your content was so authentic to you and your journey. And if you look at your font, like you look at Francesca, it all just is it makes sense.
From there too. So when I switched over to cross country cross country had like I feel like cross country's logo is like known.
Yeah.
But it was like a green and blue. Like wasn't my favorite, but I love green, so I was like, okay, like I'll run with the green. And then maybe like a month into me working there, they changed the branding colors. So now it's like cross country is technically just black and white, and they gave us the option of these other colors, and I picked like the teal color.
I love
that
that
I have,
color
because that was like it can go on our corporate marketing, and then I was like, oh, you know what, this is cute. So I did that, and then I my hairdresser, who's like very close friend of mine, her fiance is a graphic designer. So I was like, do you think Kyle could like make me a logo that doesn't have a roof on it? Or like whatever it is. And like no hate to anyone who has a roof logo, but I just feel like I didn't want it to be my name stuck inside a house. And like my dad's a contractor. Like his logo has a house on it. Like I feel like I just wanted it to be my own thing. So he thought I had basically no part in making my logo. I said I like the Chamberlain coffee font, which is Emma Chamberlain is like she was a YouTuber.
Yes.
Now she's like super successful.
Trendy.
But I was like, I love the Chamberlain coffee
gets
font, and the rest is up to you. And he sent me that. That was like the first rough draft.
He nailed
I'm like,
it.
I was like, go for it.
Nailed
like, that's exactly what I want.
Nailed it. I am this is such a weird thing. I feel like every time we do this podcast, there's some weird thing revealed about me. And for this one, I am obsessed with fonts. I spend so much time looking for fonts, and there's so many of them out there that it really can speak to what you're doing, what your event you're doing, the person you are. So when I saw that, I'm like, God, that's so Francesca. It's cool. It's cute. It's trendy. It's like, the color scheme is like very, just very cool, which you bring a very unique brand. And that's why it's really cool to see, even in the like few months, like, bam. But she also takes a lot of time to make these really cool videos.
Yeah, my reels. So reels, I feel like they're becoming more and more popular now. Like I feel like it's not as, I don't know, like when I first started doing them, people were like asking me so many questions, and now people kind of have their own idea of, you know, what to do. But I just feel like with going with the trends and then putting out some original content of just spreading information about mortgages, like and like I'm sure you can say the same thing. Speaking to my friends, I'm like, what do you not know? And they're like, we don't know anything.
Right.
So when I'm trying to make content, I'm like, oh, like, how many times can I post about credit? How many times can I post about DTI? And then later on...
What is DTI? Like, that's something that people watching are like, what is DTI?
It's your debt to income ratio. Right. So for a lot of my friends to say, like, listen, no, like, keep posting this stuff because no one knows. Like, when I first made my account, the first post on my account, you could scroll all the way to the bottom. The first post is, what is a mortgage? Like when I started...
Like I think you need to repost that over and over and over.
Yeah, right. Because the things that I think are straightforward, and I can't even lie. When I decided to do loans, are we going to get into that? When I first decided to be a loan officer, I was working with my dad. He's a contractor all my life, grew up with my dad. And my plan for myself in my head was, I'm going to be a contractor. Like, I'm going to grow up and be a contractor with my dad. Cool. And went to college, got my business degree, graduated, started working with my dad. I live with my dad. Very close, very similar. Just are butting heads all the time. And it's like, I'm not risking my relationship with, like, the person I'm closest to, to work for him. So I'm like, what can I do that's kind of, like, adjacent? He's like, oh, you should be a realtor. And you guys say to me all the time, oh, I don't know how you do it. I could not be a realtor.
I couldn't be a realtor.
No way.
I mean, it goes back and forth in my head, and I'm like, when Stacy tells me stuff, and she can speak to this, I'm like, I couldn't handle that. I couldn't deal with it. Not even, handle's the wrong word, but like...
You can handle it, but like, you wouldn't want to.
Continuously. It's just not my happy place. So I get that.
But yeah, so
that was crossed out.
So yeah, I've had a personal trainer probably for 6 years now, which is kind of crazy. But I remember going to the gym one day and I was like all bent out of shape. I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing with my life. And like as if that's a big looming question. Well, and at the time I think I was 22. Or 23. Yeah. I don't think I was even 23 yet. I think I was 22. And first of all...
you think so far ahead.
He's like laughing at me. He's like, okay, like you're out of your mind. Right. Like relax.
You're going to be fine.
And then he said, why don't you become a loan officer?
Oh, really?
And I was like, and I trust him like with my life. Like we're like I feel like all the people in my life, I like just make them be my best friend. Like you don't have a choice.
Stacy, I'll tell you right now, I did that to Stacy.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, you're going to hang out with me.
Yeah.
Come on, we're going to say lovey. Let's go.
But basically, that's how it started. He was like, "You should be a loan officer," and I was like, "Okay." And then like 2
She
minutes
goes,
later,
"Okay."
I was like, "Okay, what's that?
do
What do
this."
they do?"
Yeah.
I had no idea. I didn't even know that was a job.
Look, unless you're in it, you don't know what it
Yeah.
is. I started out working in a basement at Commerce Bank for post-closing for the residential loans. So that's the only reason I knew the process, because I was in it. So unless you're introduced to it, it's the same thing with title. People are like, "What's title? Like, what do you sell insurance?" I'm like, "Well, on your house that you really need, because you don't want anybody else to come and say it's theirs."
Or that they have some kind of claim
Right,
to it.
right.
But
I had somebody say to me, "So like you knock on people's doors?" I'm like, "It's not that kind of insurance."
No.
So an LO, a mortgage loan officer, is very similar.
yeah, and I feel like
But that
Now-
made sense for you.
yeah, and now that now that my friends like and I, from when I started, I was 22 turning 23 when I really like first like took the test, did everything. Now I just turned 26, and it's like we're getting to that age where I have friends texting me like, "Hey, how do I get pre-approved?
Yeah,
like,
you're
how do I
gonna-
do this stuff?" So now I'm at the point where people know to ask me, or not like they have to ask me, but they know the
They want
process.
to.
But they know the process
Right.
because I've been sharing it.
Right.
And even if they don't, I don't know, because I share my professional posts to my personal page a lot of the time. And it's like, you guys are getting mortgage content and getting educated one way or another if you follow my Funding with
awesome.
Francesca, or if you follow my personal page. So
You should reach out to your personal page. And
Yeah.
I think that was something that I started focusing so much on my business page and then the turnkey that I forgot, like, that's your sphere of influence.
Yeah.
And those people are going to push you because you're authentically somebody that they care about and they know. So that was a good pivot to always concentrate on both sides so that everybody's aware of who you are and what you do. So for people that will go and follow at Funding with Francesca on Instagram, what would you tell them, like some beginner advice, because you also teach a social media class, right?
Yeah, so I my specific group with cross country has like an affiliation with the school called the New York School of Real Estate. Now we're venturing into New Jersey, so it's the New Jersey School of Real Estate. We actually
Great.
have a live CE class tomorrow. I don't know when we're going to get snippets from this, but we have a bunch of live free CE classes in Red Bank for the rest of the year. So little plug for that.
Yeah.
But it's awesome. I mean, so they'll bring me on, and I end up kind of co-teaching with Doug is like usually like the main trainer, and
Okay.
then Andrew, and we kind of just go through, and it's a intro to social media.
Right.
It's not like, I don't know, it's not any like the in-depth like advanced. It's like, this is how you download Instagram and create an account. Like, so it's very good for these people who don't know and they don't have it. And usually every class that I've done, I want to say I've done like a handful of them now, I end up connecting with a realtor in there or someone in there, and I start doing like private classes almost, where I'm like,
Yeah.
we do one-on-ones and I help them with their social media because, I don't know, like they see mine and they understand, like I know what I'm talking about, but
And you have a good presence. You're consistent. Your brand makes sense to who you are. And it all comes back to how approachable you are. When you put yourself out there in a way that's like, wait, okay, I got to call people, but like, who am I calling? People respond to that you are so open to beginners and people who just need to ask those questions without feeling like they're not an expert in the industry, or they're not, they don't want to be judged for not knowing, whatever the reason may be. So opening that door opens relationships.
yeah, absolutely. I feel like, I mean, I've connected with you and Stacy through Instagram. I have
Yeah.
mainly like, I don't know, I feel like my main source of like referrals and like my referral partnerships that I have, like, and these relationships that I've built are from, I'll see someone come up and I'm like, wow, like I like her,
Yeah.
or I like him, or I think we
Yeah.
would get along well or work well together. And the same thing, like a DM, like, hey, like we should get coffee or we should get
Yeah.
together, because you can see yourself. It's almost like a warm introduction for yourself
Totally
on social media.
is.
It's like, oh, like she posts like funny stuff like this. Whitney, I don't think you've met Whitney yet, but I remember seeing Whitney's Instagram and I was like, I'm gonna follow this girl and I'm gonna make her be my friend.
I
like
love
exactly, but like how you did with Stacy. But
Yep.
it's one of those people or one of those things where you can see yourself being friends with
Yeah.
the person and then also having that business connection.
Yeah. And wanting to share their stuff. Like, your content is so shareable, and it makes people who follow me think that, oh, I know this girl, and her content is something you want to listen to, and it's very it's aesthetically pleasing. Like the whole package is just there, so it works for what you do. You're, you know, building on that as far as your course that you're doing with your cross-country mortgage contacts, and you're putting yourself out there for personal relationships that have turned into clients. You're working with somebody, a client that you got from that private realtor relationship that you leveraged, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, and that's the thing too that's nice because I've offered myself, like my free time to some of these people, these realtors that I met in the classes, they end up, you know, we're building a relationship in another way. So instead of me calling and saying, hey, like, even though I do this, like, I always am like, hey, thank you for coming to the class. Like, did you learn anything or like that you didn't know before? Or would you have a suggestion of like something that you think that we should add to the class? Like, it's always like getting that next touch with whoever you're reaching out to. But this one woman, I was like, yeah, like if you want to do like extra classes, like we started going on a Zoom maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks. After our first Zoom that we did, she sent me a client who now I've been working with since probably September, and we're closing today, which is awesome.
Amazing. Congrats.
Yeah.
Oh, today's a good day.
Yeah,
All
I mean,
right.
supposed to be on Friday, but things happen.
Look, that's this business. Everything gets pushed, moved. If it happens on time, it's like it actually happened on time. So.
Yeah, and that's when you know everything's, I don't know, moving in unison. But there's always something that comes up. Not on my end, just so everyone knows. It wasn't me.
It's never, it's any end. It's just sometimes the process is daunting.
It's always
Which is why it's important to educate your people so that they know this. Setting expectations is such a big deal in our business because if you're open and transparent with your buyers, your clients, whoever that may or whatever it is, people can accept things better. And when delays happen, you just let them know.
Yeah, and that's a good part about having that kind of open communication with my clients. Like, I don't like pick up my phone like, okay, hello. Like, I'm just like, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
Like, I'm very like, I would answer
You're
the
you.
phone. Exactly. And I think it's so important to carry yourself through your branding, through your social media, through the way that you interact with your clients, because at the end of the day, you don't want to put on a show and then, I don't know, you don't want to be someone that you're not just to save face. Like, I remember when I first started with my social media, my fonts were different. Like, everything was different because I
wouldn't judge your fonts. I bet I would like every font you would choose.
But I'm saying the way that I was presenting myself was like more serious than I am.
More corporate.
Not saying that I'm not serious
business.
in my career and like what I'm doing and in my role in the process, but too serious to the point where I was like acting
you have a flair.
certain way.
Yeah, you
where
have
I'm like,
flair.
I don't want to act like that if that's not
True.
how I am in real life.
Authentic.
Like, yeah, exactly. So
Right.
just the authenticity of just being yourself, showing up as you through all facets of what you're doing, I feel like is so important. And that's something that I learned maybe last year.
Which is incredible because to learn that so soon in your career and to be able to build off of that in a way that sets you up for success, which I said to Stacey, I'm like, this girl's going to be successful. She asks very common sense beginning questions to build and build and build, turns it into her own, and is just going to be so great in this industry. So I really appreciate you meeting with me. Oh, Stace. Stacey had mommy duty, so she'll catch on the next one. But please check out the branding and all of her content that she shares on @fundingwithfrancesca on Instagram. It will definitely give you an education that brings things down to a very easy but informative level where you can really digest mortgage information, which is sometimes daunting in real estate. And we appreciate your sponsorship. Thank you for supporting the new agents in our business. Thank you for, which by the way, somebody already signed up for that. So that was like right away as we posted. And I know that person will appreciate being able to have the opportunity to meet other women in our industry and in business, for supporting the small business Link Local that's coming to do some permanent jewelry. You really do. You've made us proud, Francesca Svoboda.
Thank
We
you.
are so excited to have you continue your journey with us, Turnkey, and all the great things that are going to come from it. So make sure you check out when our event is at Red Bank. Thank you for coming, Francesca.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll see you soon.